My first decathlon did not go how I expected it to. Here's what happened. Going into your first ever decathlon without being able to sprint or properly train for the jumping events for over 2 months due to an Achilles injury is not ideal, to say the least. But I needed to get a score, and I was ready to go out there and just go for it. We knew the conditions were going to be bad on day one. We knew it was going to rain. We knew it was going to be cold on day one. But damn, it was rough. We had to warm up inside because of the rain, but I was feeling good. I did my first proper accelerations in like 2 months. All my previous accelerations for the past like 2 weeks that I've actually been kind of sprinting is such a loose word. Were just all rolling starts because I really couldn't be stiff, but I got to be stiff and actually push in the warm up. Let's get into the events. The 100 meter is my best event. It's the only event that I competed last year, which was my first year in track. But obviously I had to temper my expectations because I had not sprinted in 2 months, right? I knew that I didn't have all that training under my belt. I thought low 11s was a reasonable expectation. That's what I ran 11.2 last year and 11.3, 11.2. I ran at 11.1 that was a little wind needed. In the fall, I was expecting 10-9 season opener. At worst is what I was expecting. Obviously, after the last 2 months, that was not my expectation. So I thought low 11s. Even with my current state, not having trained, I was like, I can do that. The 100 did not go well. I ran slow. It was in the rain. We had a negative 2.3 headwind, which is rough. But I didn't execute well either. My start was not amazing. I hadn't done blocks since June. My drive was fine. Like I could feel myself being with the field. And then we got up and running, and I couldn't. Broke form. I started getting long. I had been so good the whole fall, but just getting my feet down, and it just all went out the window. I crossed the line. I'm like, damn, dude. I got beat by people whose personal bests are slower than mine. Obviously, they've been training, but I got beat by people who I think are slower than me. And that sucked. That didn't suck as much as when I then turned and saw on the scoreboard that I ran 11.87. I've never ran that slow. Not my first 100 race ever that I ran that slow. That was crazy to me. And like I said, I know it was raining and it was freezing and I hadn't sprinted and we had a negative 2.3 headwind, but that was crazy to me. And that set the tone in the wrong way for me. Mentally, I was like, whoa, fuck. It was inconceivable that I could run that slow to me in my mind. The 100 was my best event. And now I have to go out there and do 9 more events. I'm like, all my teammates can run way faster than they ran that day. The conditions were shit. But still. And this is where I started to feel like just mentally weak. Long jump, freezing cold. It was hilarious. We were all huddling under these easy ups that were getting soaked with water, and your warm-ups are soaked, and you're doing your long jump. The actual competition for me was fine. 6 lefts for long jump, and I didn't do it on Tuesday when I was going to grab mine because I was like, I just wanted to get it on the day of the meet, so I didn't risk hurting myself more. So I just stole my teammates and then adjusted it last second because I didn't have time to do a full run back. My jumps were, I've never done long jump before, but my jumps were fine. My first jump was my best jump, and I was a little pissed after it because I landed and I put my hand back. And so I definitely lost a foot, maybe half a foot. I definitely lost points. And it was just rough. You're freezing, you're shivering under these easy ups, and you don't even want to put in your warm ups anymore because they're just sopping wet and covered in sand. It was rough. My girlfriend was laughing. She's like, you guys were all huddled under there. You guys look crazy. Long jump was fine. Shot put was basically a pool. The whole ring was just covered with water. I didn't glide or shuffle. I'd been shuffling the past couple weeks, and I didn't do that because I was like, I just need to get marks. I just did stand throws, which is what I did a couple weeks ago when I threw shot in competition for the first time. And I threw a little bit under my PB, so I'm not too mad about that. I didn't mention this. I do all of the throwing events with my left hand because I have a torn labrum in my right shoulder. So I'm learning all these events left-handed. Shot, I don't mind too much, and disc, I don't mind too much. Jab is the hard one, which we'll get to. But I didn't throw much under my PB from a couple weeks ago, and the conditions were bad. So I'm not too mad about shot put. Shuffle like I wanted to because of the conditions. I was like, I don't want to add something new. High jump, I really started to feel the pain in my Achilles. Both of them, really. Both from running that curve into my takeoff for high jump and also just the takeoff leg. I was in pain. And it was cold too. My ankles were cold. And so my Achilles it hurt a lot doing that. I am proud of myself on high jump in terms of, I've never really jumped over bars much before. I think in the past 2 months, I've actually done any sort of approach into a high jump once. Because of my Achilles, I have not been able to train it, besides doing some back overs and stuff. I am pretty proud of how I was able to mentally be strong. It's like the only event that I was like mentally strong in, because I missed my first attempt at like 5.2 or whatever it was at. And then I came back and I made adjustments. And there were several bars where I did not clear first time. And I went up and I cleared it. I still only cleared 5.5, and I know I can clear so much better than that. I know that I have balance and I have good pop, but for a first high jump, given the conditions, given my training, I wasn't actually too mad about that. I wish I could have done better. I know I could have, but I'm not too pissed about that. The 400, I mean, I didn't know what to expect in the 400, you know. It's so interesting going into an event you just know you're really unprepared for. Like the 100, like, yeah, I'm unprepared for it, but like, okay, it's 100. All of the jumping events, like, yeah, I can just do it. The 400, you're like, I know that I do not have the speed endurance in my legs. I've not been doing speed endurance workouts for 2 months. I know I don't have it in my legs. I don't know what I'm going to do. My plan was to get out fine and just coast. I did get out good. Stumbled a little bit, but I had a good start. I liked that. Got into the straightaway, and I just coasted too much in the straightaway. I thought, okay, I'm gonna keep it easy here. Gonna lengthen my stride and just kind of try to conserve energy so my legs don't die. And they died anyways at 200 anyways. They died at 200 anyways. Going into the second curve, I was already down, already in last by a couple meters. And getting into that final 100 was just, it felt embarrassing. So far behind everyone else, having to push through. And this is where I started to really feel mentally weak. The lactic hit anyways. I'm like, well, I wish I just went out harder, because the lactic hit anyways. And I could have pushed harder the last 100. Probably, I mean, I don't know. I was in pain. It's hard to know if I could have pushed harder. I felt like I could have pushed harder, but I felt embarrassed. Like, what am I doing here? What have I been doing with all these past months? Felt horrible. Felt embarrassing. I probably could have gotten a second or two faster. I was weak mentally. I don't know what I should have expected, right? After that 400, I was tired, but not like deceased tired. You know, like that was also made me feel like, oh, fuck, I could have given more. I didn't feel like I was going to explode like I have in previous speed endurance stuff. My Achilles were in so much pain after that 400. I thought I wasn't going to be able to finish. I genuinely thought, I'm going to have to scratch day 2. I'm not going to be able to compete. It was that much pain. And so I felt like I just did all this work to score such shit points. I worked so hard all of the fall. I had an injury that fucked me, and I competed, and I just went in cold, and I just hurt myself more. I feel like I performed poorly and injured myself, you know? I thought that, I knew that this was going to hurt. I knew that my Achilles were not ready for this, but I had to get a mark. I knew that I was not ready injury-wise or fitness-wise, but I knew that I had to do it. And I guess I'm a little mentally strong for that, but it was still so hard. I felt like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I questioned everything. It was rough. I went to the trainer, took an ice bath. It was cold. Felt nice. Got some Subway, munched on that, tried to go to bed, but I could not sleep. I was in so much pain. Both my Achilles were just in so much pain. I'm like, I'm going to have to scratch tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to compete. I could not sleep. Day 2, I remember in that morning, I'm like, I didn't want my girlfriend or my family to come. My girlfriend came for a little bit on day 1. Day 2, I was like, I don't want my dad. My dad and my uncle were going to come, and my girlfriend was going to come. My mom and her boyfriend were going to all these people were going to come. I was like, I don't want you to come. I'm going to perform terribly. I'm just injuring myself. I remember, like, I texted a couple people. I'm like, please don't come. This is bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be sad. I don't want you to come. Eventually, I wanted them to come. And I was like, okay, I'm going to compete. It's interesting now to talk about this a few days removed, because I'm in a much better mental space now. Much better. But it was a horrible mental space. I'm bottom 3 mental state. For sure. Went to the trainer in the morning, got some treatment, some scraping done. Made me feel a little better. I really rolled out. Did some stretches because we had hurdles. I mean, like, even the warm up on day 2, we're doing like the lightest jogging you could imagine. Little jog skips for warm up, and I was in pain. My Achilles were on fire. In the state I was in, like, no reasonable person would let me compete if I didn't have to get a mark, right? It was rough. On to specifics for the day 2 events. Hurdles. I'd never done a hurdle race in my life. I like hurdles. It's fun. In practice, over the 42s, I'm about 50-50 whether I float it or just actually execute properly on the 42-inch hurdles. I'd never done more than 2 42-inch hurdles in a row. The last time I did that was second week of January. No. First week of January. Last time I did that was first week of January, I think. The only hurdle work I've done since then is like hurdle mobility, little rhythm stuff over like 36-inch hurdles. Nothing in spikes for hurdles. I got out well to the first hurdle, and then I floated it. And then it was just me stumbling, trying to get my feet underneath, and then popping over the next one, and then stumbling and trying to get my feet, and then popping up because I was getting so close to it. After about hurdle 4 or 5, I got into a little bit of a rhythm, pretty smooth over the top. I was not getting it too high over the hurdles, but I was just creeping up and getting closer and closer. And then I get to that final hurdle and I had to literally just Mario jump over it. I felt like I finally got into a rhythm with it after a really bad start to the race. Mentally weak. I Mario hop over it and I jog through the line. Like, just mentally weak. Like, it's what it is. I could have messed that up, and I had to jump over the way I did based on everything that I did leading up to that, right? But then I could have landed and sprint through the line and get an extra, 20 points, half a second off my whatever. But I didn't. I just jogged it through. A great example of what you should do is the way my teammate Aaron did it. He got over this last hurdle and he sprint through the line hard as he could. I'm sure the race wasn't perfect in his mind, but he got over it and he just sprinted through the line. The rest of the race didn't matter. You sprint through the line. I didn't. And that had me questioning so much about myself in that moment. I was in a lot of pain, obviously, after the hurdles. My Achilles were in a lot of pain before, so obviously after hurdles, they're not going to feel any better. My dad had brought some Gatorade and stuff for me, and I didn't even want to talk to him. I didn't want to talk to my family. After that race. I was like, I didn't want to talk to them. It was dramatic. It was immature. I almost avoided eye contact with them. I knew where they were. There wasn't that many people there. I knew where they were. I avoided eye contact. That became a theme through the whole day. Not wanting to look at my friend, my family, and my girlfriend who were there. It was embarrassing. It felt embarrassing. Discus went well. Once again, I throw discus with left hand. I'm not spinning yet. Next meet, I will be spinning. Just stand throws for me. Pretty decent. Warm-ups felt good for discus. I felt like I was able to mentally reset a little bit. I went inside, got some food, mentally reset. First throw was fine. After my first throw, our throws coach was like, I need to get a little more rotation, which I did. I got the rotation, but I tried to whip it around too fast, so I just lost control, and I fouled the second throw. Third throw, he told me to slow down when I'm at the very back when I'm fully rotated, and then when I pull through, then you can speed up. But I was just going way too fast right away, and that helped, and I threw pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Not spinning yet, throwing lefty. I want to throw better, but pole vault. Fuck pole vault. I have notes here. It literally just says pole vault. Fuck. Warm-ups for pole vault, our little drills were fine. I went on my first full approach and warm-up. I did the mistakes that I always do. Whatever. I go up. I drop down onto the mat, and my groin, when I'm going up or when I landed or what it was, my groin pulled a little bit. One of those oh fuck, I haven't had a groin pull in years. I grab my pole and I kind of hobble back towards line. I'm kind of leaning over a little bit. It actually does fucking kind of hurt a little bit. Not I can't be hurt, but fuck, what the hell? I felt warm and everything. It was visual enough apparently that the trainer came over and are you okay? And I'm like, well, we'll see. The mistakes that I always make in pole vault got me. Didn't get me last week when I pole vaulted for the first time, but they did this week. I dropped my grip and I stutter step. It's the same thing on all three of my jumps. I think I opened it 8 feet, 6, whatever. I don't know. I take 2 extra steps every single time. I don't know what I'm thinking. It's so subconscious. I don't even feel like I'm doing it. And I drop my grip. It's also so subconscious. As I raise up the pole, I just slide my grip down subconsciously. I couldn't find the box, dude. I could not get my pole into the box. Even in warm-up, it happened a couple times where I could not get it. So all those things aside, I still should have been able to clear it. It looks like I almost have it, but then the pole bounced before the box and landed on a mat, piece of the mat behind the box. And all of them were like that. They were all just... And then that last jump. And I don't just know height. I know height, and the pole bounces straight into my nuts. One of the worst nut shots I've ever had in my entire life. After performing like crap for a day and a half. I couldn't just know height. I had to know height and get hit in the balls. The video cuts off, but I go and I start to go back to get the pole, and I keel over. I'm delirious. Hollow back to the bench. I can't even breathe. I take my shirt off. I'm both in so much excruciating pain because of the pole. And then also I felt so defeated. I'm sure it looked like I was being so dramatic. When you watch the video, you can tell how subtle it is. You can barely even tell that I was hit, in real time, unless you know to look for it. So it looks like I just no-heighted and I'm throwing a fit. I felt like shit, and I felt horrible, and I was in so much pain. I couldn't believe it. I no-heighted. I go to our little room with the heaters. I just cry. I just cry a little bit. I was questioning absolutely everything. I had a good talk with my girlfriend. She came down from the stands and I talked to her. That was helpful. Then you have to wait when you suck like me in pole vault. And when you know height early in pole vault like me, you just have to wait 2 more hours of me just having to... I went out there and I cheered on my teammates. They did really good. So stoked for them. Case was flipping over bar. He was like, it was so fun. It was fun. Tayo did sick in pole vault. It was awesome. You feel more positive at certain points. You have so much time to think. You're like, fuck, why can't I just switch? Why couldn't I have no heighted last week and made it this week, you know? I still made the mistakes last week, but I just, you know, luck of the draw-ish. And then I have to go on my worst event, which is javelin. I suck at javelin. I'm throwing lefty. I really suck. I was just doing a penultimate, and because I'm like, I know that when I actually put any sort of oomph into the javelin, I cannot get the tip to drop, and I'm not going to get a mark. My first two throws, penultimate, tip doesn't drop. I fouled the first two throws. I'm like, I'm seriously going to get no mark in back-to-back events. And so I go out there on my third attempt, and I literally do a stand throw, and I give it 90% effort in the throw so that I can ensure that the tip drops and I don't get 0 points. I got 99 points. Like, it's actually unfathomable how I knew I was going to not throw far in jab, but that was crazy. Funny thing, my girlfriend goes, after she goes, why weren't you trying a javelin? I'm like, well, one thing I suck at javelin, and also I needed to get points. So the 1500 was interesting. My girlfriend took these videos at different points, at different laps, and you feel like, yeah, you're really pushing it. Like, you know, if I go any harder, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, you feel like you're really, and then you watch the video and it looks like you're jogging. I look like an old man just going for a leisurely jog, which is funny because it felt like I'm redlining and I'm going to have a heart attack if I go any faster. I mean, obviously I want to get my fitness better, but even with that fitness, I feel like I know what it feels like to do a 15, so I know how to push myself a little bit harder in that. I mean, in a way, overcame adversity in the way that I did complete the decathlon, but I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed parts of it. I laughed with my teammates. Even after my no height, there was times when I laughed. And I had joy, but had these such high expectations. And I'm like, I'm just an athlete. I'm going to go out there and just do it. I was disappointed in how I acted. I wish I had been more positive. I'm a pretty positive person. I wish I'd been more positive. Adversity got the better of me. I felt more mentally weak than I feel like I've ever been in my life. And yeah, my circumstances aren't great, but what should I expect? But I had a good talk with my coach yesterday, and we're a little bit removed, you know. And one thing he talks about is, you know, your expectations have to be based on your current ability level. Why should I expect to go out there and perform well when I haven't been training? Now, even for my current fitness, strength, speed, whatever, I know that I could have executed better in a lot of these events, even at my current level, you know. And part of it is just competition nerves, for sure. And I don't have a lot of experience competing in general in track. So obviously execution and obviously day one weather. But in general, your expectations should be based on your current ability level, and mine weren't. I thought I could do better than that. I thought I was better than that. And I am, and I can be, but I wasn't. And even if I had high expectations and I was failing them, I should have been more positive. The part that I struggled with is I felt like, well, if this is how bad it is now and how much pain I'm in, it's not like I'm going to be able to train next week. I'm going to go back to not being able to really train. I'm trying not to do so much predicting because I do a lot of predicting. I predict that, you know, things will not be able to get better or whatever. I'm trying to do less predicting, trying to focus more on what I can do. I mean, really learning a lot about myself and what I don't want to be. And I don't want to be, I don't want to be the version of me that doesn't sprint through the line. Like, I don't want to be the version of me that didn't give it everything in the 400, that didn't have crazy arms in the last 50 of the 400 meters because I felt ashamed that I ran so slow. I'm not someone who quits. I don't want to be a person who quits things. I need to perform better. I need to get better. But most importantly, in between the ears, behind the eyes, I need to get better mentally. I need to adjust my expectations, approach everything as a learning experience, and just try my best. Trying to get a little more consistent with the content. Expect lots of videos coming soon. We're going to have some fun here. Peace.
I know, but this room is amazing. Do you have... Easy.